So today we're going to look at the Kindle Scribe. Let's get this unboxed. Now the good thing is this one is a premium model, so it comes with a premium pen. I'll discuss that a little bit more. The actual box opening itself, if I can get under one of those latches. It's fairly seamless. So in the box we have the Kindle itself, more on that in a moment. We've got some spare styluses, there is 5 by the looks of this, just confirmed. Yeah, there's 5 styluses there and obviously the tool to remove them. Also in the box we've got the premium pen, which is hidden in a roll-up. The difference between a premium pen and a normal pen is the eraser, I believe the shortcut button there, and then a charging cable. So again, nice and straightforward. And when it comes to the actual device itself, let's get in. You've got the Amazon logo at the back there. You've got these rubberized feet, so when it's sat down it won't move, which is key. And then it just says press the power button, so let's do that. And when it comes to magnet, the pen sticks supposedly on both sides. I've heard that rumour. Well, I think it does with the case if you buy the actual case. There we are. Right, so let's have a look at the Kindle Scribe. Now this is the Pro one, or the premium edition, because it's got the premium pen. Doesn't really mean an awful lot, apart from the fact on the pen you've got a bit of the back end there, which is like works as a rubber, and you can map that to do different things. Similar with this button here, which is mappable. I think that comes on the standard one, but primarily it's about this button at the back there, which you just use as a rubber. If you look at the home, you've got my recent items there, so you've got a book in there, a couple of PDFs that I've imported. I'll talk about that a bit later. Kindle Unlimited, which I think I signed up for a period, which is there and good to go. And then obviously various other bits about books I may have started at some point, or not, which is most likely the case. Library, well, it'll basically be anything that sits in my library, so all of those sit in there now, and you'll notice there's a PDF in there. Like I said, we'll discuss that a bit later. Notebooks, when it comes to notebooks, there's a couple of options here. So I started this notebook a short while ago. Now you'll notice I've just wrote Jaffa Cakes on there for now. If I wanted to write Express IT services or tech tips, you'll notice I pressed that button and got a highlighter, so I'm just going to go over that and then rub it out. So that's the only one annoying thing, that mapping that to the highlighter does mean that it is sometimes quite easy to knock, but either way. So I can edit that quite simply. Now you'll notice there's a option here which is like a tool. I've deliberately moved it this side. It does start here. Now the reason I moved it is because I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, it's probably better to have it that side. You can obviously set highlights that way as well if you want, and you've got various different tools basically, so we can have a heavy rubber as well. So there's different options for what you can do, so there's all bits in there. Now if you want to copy, what you can do is you can grab that, you can copy this. Now there is a way to convert to text. I'm not going to show you how to do it here, but basically you can take your handwriting and convert it. It seems to work fairly well. From my experience, I've noticed it generally works as a whole document rather than just individual sections, but I think you can copy it from the clipboard. But nevertheless, what you can do is also go in and change the different type of bits. So if I wanted to make it a pencil, I'll then get like a pencil view. If I wanted to make it more like a fountain pen, it writes like a fountain pen, like very much like a fountain pen. As you can see, if I didn't change the angle, you get like the bits that you'd miss out if you were writing with a fountain pen. So it's quite a true reaction. To be honest, it's a nice feel as well. So it actually writes reasonably well. I'll just go back to a marker because I like that because it's nice, big and thick. But it's quite responsive. Even the rubber itself doesn't feel too bad. Now, when it comes to bits up here, just click on Notebook. I can go back. You'll see ones that I've done earlier, which I could go in and edit by all means. I could go on to More, and More gives me options with reading list settings, etc. Now, I was going to go into the library and pick on one of the PDFs I've imported. Now, this is a PDF of some elements I was learning. So this is some bits of CertiIQ, which was to help me with SC 400, which I've recently sat. What I can do is go into here and basically highlight sections. So if I happen to know what the answer was, for this one, for example, I happen to know that the answer is C, apparently, but I don't believe that. Yep, C, so the answer is C. What I would actually do is highlight that bit because I know it's actually that. So I can actually go in and highlight. I can also annotate in this. Now, it won't happen with every single document, but I can put in here only applies to docs. Basically, so I can annotate in there. Now, you'll find the ones that you can annotate is similar with books. So certain books you can annotate generally by the inclusion of sections in here. So if you've got the option for the pen, etc., then you'll be able to annotate in that. And those annotations stay, but also you can highlight bits as well. So if I wanted to highlight a particular section, I could highlight that so it draws my attention to it, albeit the highlight is obviously going to be in grayscale, so just something to be aware. If I'm going to go into a book, so let's just take a normal book for example. The book itself, it looks really good. You'll notice there is no option here for a pen, so that tells me I can't annotate on this. There are books out there that do allow annotations. What I can do is, if I want to make the text bigger, is pinch and do it that way. Similarly, if I want to change some settings, so there is options around the warmth and brightness, I can swap that about. Now I might just use auto brightness and that will bring that up for me because I'm looking. If I wanted to change the warmth, so more of a blue light or dark light as they call it for reading at night, I can set a schedule on that as well if I wanted to. I'm not going to at the moment because I quite like that bright white on there. Now I can turn on dark mode as well, so dark mode obviously makes it very different. Sometimes people will find it nicer on their eyes to utilise that, but there's a few options there on what choice you might have. Now obviously the brilliant white does stand out quite dramatically, so it does make that very, very easy to read. The actual device itself, other parts it has, you have the charging port there, which is USB-C, and just the on-off button. The battery on this, as you can imagine, like most Kindles, lasts forever and a day. To give you an idea of how good Kindle batteries are, here is an original Kindle that I don't think I have charged for well over 6 months now, and as you can see it's still got enough power just to display that option. Now if you wanted to compare an original Kindle to where we are today, you can kind of see the difference. Now I do have an Oasis, which is the previous flagship model, which I'll bring in a moment just to show you what that looks like. But yeah, overall very good. Now how the kind of send to PDF works, there are a couple of options. So you can go and get the app, install it locally on your machine and do it that way. The other way I tend to do it is there is a web page that you can do this on. So basically if you've got a PDF, you can send it via your Amazon account directly to the device, and that will work fairly seamlessly. When it comes to the notebooks, for example, let's go back in. It's one thing I didn't show you, is if I go into the actual settings of the notebook, or templates of the notebooks, I think it is. It might be, no, it's going to be that one. There are different options. So you can have the lines, you can have ones with dates and times on there. So for a memo board, that would be really good. If you're doing a kind of timed list, that would work really well. You can have a spreadsheet type style or box style. So there's all these different types of templates that you can use, which makes, if you were doing a shopping list, for example, that's quite a nice way to do that. So let's leave that on. Let's just wipe some of this off. So what I was referring to about the sizes, and this is just a bit of a conceptual view of this. So like I said, this is one of the original Kindles you get, and if you think about how that holds in the hand and the comparison to the size of the Scribe, it gives you a bit of an idea. We're looking at, if I got an A4 piece of paper, the actual width of an A4 piece of paper is probably the same width that you're looking at without the pen for one of those. Now that's obviously an old model. You've obviously got paper whites and stuff that have happened since then. But then if you look at like the flagship one, which was the Oasis that I've also own, I'm not a heavy reader either. This gives you an idea of the kind of size of this device. So again, I would say, depending upon your use case, this is probably the better option because it's more portable, and if you're reading a book, it's probably easier to read a book this size than to try and hold that. Obviously, if you're reading a magazine or making notes, then absolutely this is probably the right size. But again, could it have not been done like so, and note taking done this way? Probably not quite the right size screen, but this is probably too large. So it's just something to consider. So let's reflect on the Scribe, which is the Kindle, obviously made by Amazon. And as I mentioned in the video, obviously the size is something that you're going to have to get used to. If you're going to use this just as an e-reader, I would probably suggest you don't look at this device and you maybe look at the Oasis. I believe they've got a new one coming out very soon, so that's probably more your cup of tea, particularly if you think most people buy Kindles to be able to sit out in their nice gardens and sit and read a book, obviously just digitally rather than that. If you're doing this, I think I mentioned that obviously the size of this kind of is in the line with a bit of A4 paper, and that's no joke. So it's literally just that top bit there that's missing. So the width itself is probably giving you an indication with the pen attached that it is about the width of an A4 piece of paper. Apart from that, the actual elements of what it's designed for is taking notes is pretty good, to be honest. The way it feels is quite leisurely. I've had stuff like iPads in the past with the matte paper feel type paper, and it's never quite felt as good as it does with the Scribe. So that's something they've definitely done right. Now, I've never owned a Remarkable 2, so I can't comment, but obviously that's probably the industry leader in those kind of e-ink type note-taking devices. However, it does come at a bit more of a premium where a lot of the features are locked behind subscription services or paywalls. So it might be something in the future, if I do manage to get my hands on one, I can do a bit more of a review that way. Now, I don't read a lot of books. It might seem a bit odd based on the fact that I've got a Scribe, but it was mainly just bought to take a review of, and obviously go from there. I would have loved to love it. My personal view is I don't read enough books to potentially necessarily hang on to it for much longer. But from a note-taking point of view, it does do everything you need. The only thing it doesn't do as well as I would hope it would is that kind of converting your text to, your writing to text. And one of the best ones I've found doing that is some of the iPad apps that you get. I think it was GoodNotes 5 was very good at doing that particular function, albeit obviously then you're still reliant on using the Apple Pencil and their solution to get around it, which isn't quite the same. However, you know, for the price point of one of these, obviously when you consider some of the other devices out there, it's pretty good value, particularly if you are in the market for a new Kindle. Like I said, I think if you were just looking at it from a point of having it for a book, I would certainly look at maybe the Oasis or the new Oasis that's coming out. But nevertheless, really, really good product. Amazon are generally pretty good with their Amazon line and range. There's not many duffs that they make generally. If you've got a different view, then please let me know in the comments, and I will maybe try and pick one of those up and do a review of whatever the duff is. But primarily, a lot of the Amazon real estate are pretty, you know what you're getting for the money, so it's not a bad device at all, really. You will find it as well in many sales that kind of happen. So if you keep your eye on when Amazon do one of their flash sales, their Prime Day sales, Black Fridays, etc., you will be able to pick it up for around $270 instead of the full amount, which it normally retails around £340 UK pounds. So if you turn that into American, it's probably no different. It's probably $349. Either way, I hope you like this review and my initial thoughts. Like I said, I probably won't hang on to it just because I don't read books enough to warrant keeping it. And if I did, I sometimes actually just prefer having the paper version of it. Anyway, if you have liked the review, please hit the like and subscribe. And as always, I will see you next time.